dangerous.
All right, y'all. I am here with Kalina, aka Deaf Queen Boss. How you doing today, Kalina?
Hello, thank you for having me today. How are you? I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm glad you decided to come onto the show and talk because lately I've been really sitting with the idea of making sure that my platform is accessible. And as soon as I decided to do this, you popped up. So I was like, this is a good sign. So I need to talk to her and get some perspective here, not only for myself, but I'm sure there's a lot of us that have questions about being more aware and being more inclusive and understanding how important accessibility is. So with that being said, like, tell us, who you are, where you're from, how old you are. Go right ahead.
Already. Thank you so much. So hello everybody. My name is Kalina. I am 23 years old. I'm from Canada, Toronto. Woo! I know a lot of people be like, "Ooh, that's the spot." Yes, it is the spot. Anyways, so basically, a little background about myself. I basically help people in terms of educate them with the community, and even too as well disability. I also help people to develop like self growth and self esteem. Being having a disability can be really challenging at time, right? When you get older. And also too, I have an Instagram. I'm an influencer, upcoming influencer, so I'm slowly building my page so I can educate everybody on it, on the deaf community, and yeah, so that's what I do for now.
Okay, so you're 23, you're from Toronto. So are you hard of hearing or are you deaf?
So a lot of people get confused with those two words. So I'm hard of hearing with my hearing aid. Without my hearing aid, I'm deaf. So I know people be like, "What?" Yes, it can be confusing at times, but when someone is wearing a hearing aid and they're speaking like the way I am, right? The hard of hearing. If someone is signing and they don't have any hearing aid or cochlear implants on, they would consider deaf. So for me, like I'm both because I can hear with my hearing aid very well, but without my hearing aid, I'm completely deaf. I cannot hear at all. Like people be like, "So what can you hear without your hearing aid?" The only thing I can hear with my hearing aid is airplane. That's it. Anything that is super loud, that's what I can hear, and that's it. My hearing is it's really like at the bottom. Like I can't hear anything at all. So yeah. So hopefully that clear up everything.
Okay, I just want to make sure I understand. So basically, in your case, you're deaf because you can't hear anything unless it's super loud, like an airplane.
Yes.
Okay, but if you sign, if you can't hear anything at all, no type of implants, no type of hearing devices to help you
Device.
hear. So without that, you're deaf. But if you have that type of device in, whether it's implanted or whether it's like a hearing aid, so technically you're hard of hearing, right? Did I get
Yeah.
that right?
Yeah.
Okay, I got you. I got you. Now, I don't want, I mean, if it's okay to ask, do you have something, so you have hearing aids in your ear right now?
Yeah, I do. Right now, I
Okay,
have my hearing aid on.
got
Yeah.
it. Okay, okay. So technically you're hard of hearing at this moment.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So we got that down. All right, cool. So, with your story, I understand that you became deaf at the age of 4. Do you mind walking us through what happened with that in terms of how that happened?
So it's a long story. So I basically went to daycare, and I would recommend to do like eardrop. So my doctor prescribed me an eardrop, and then when I went to the daycare would give me eardrop at the wrong time. So with that being done, things would eardrop too much in my eardrop at the wrong timing, and by the time I got home, my hearing all of a sudden just went. I remember one time I was sitting in front of the TV. My mom was calling me. I couldn't hear her at all. She came to me. She tapped my shoulder. She said, "Kalina, I'm calling you." I'm like, and I literally jumped because I had no idea she was calling me. And then the thing is, I didn't even like, because I was 4, so I'm a baby, so I don't know what's happening, right? And you don't know. And then she tapped my shoulder. "Kalina, wake up. Like, what are you doing?" And then I didn't even, like, I had no idea. And so then I said, and I was like, "I can't hear." And then she's like, "What do you mean you can't hear?" I'm like, "I can't hear anything, mom. Like, I can't." And so we went to the doctor the next day right away. My doctor said it was too late to do anything because of the eardrop and because of whoever put my eardrop in my ear did it wrong time. Either they put too much, and that's what happened.
Wow. So it was because of a daycare's error with administering eardrops for you
Yeah,
as what, a
yeah.
toddler?
I think it would. Yeah, I was had a toddler, and I think I had like an ear infection. So that's what also caused it as well too, right? So
So the infection plus the wrong administering of the drops is what caused your deafness.
yeah.
Okay. Wow, that's frustrating to hear.
It is frustrating. It is. And my mom was super young when she had me too, right? So she was just devastated. She didn't even know what to do, and thank God my grandma who was a nurse. So yeah, my grandma was able to cover everything up and just trying to move forward with me with my death when I became deaf, and that was it.
So was there ever any retribution against the daycare center because it's their fault, I would think. You know what I mean?
Right. I don't know what happened afterwards, to be honest. I don't know if sorry. I don't know if they sued the daycare. I'm not too sure what they did because I never really asked them those type of questions, but I just know how I became deaf and that was it.
Understood. So now you're about 4. So as you go from 4 to 23, how has life been being a person who can be hard of hearing at times or be deaf at times?
It was so challenging. Like there were a lot of downs when I was starting school to high school. There was a lot of downs a lot, and there was some ups, but I wouldn't say 100%. Ooh, it was successful. No, it was really hard. Because 90% of people I was surrounded with are hand people. Every time I step in the room, it's a hand person, not one person that was deaf like me. I basically had to grow up myself, my grow up basically super quick when I was like 7 to get my things together, build that self esteem, and like I can do this, I can do this. Like having my mom, my grandma, my aunt to guide me, push me, show me what kind of woman, because I'm a little girl, like you have to stand up for yourself, and so I had to learn that and do it from my mom, my grandma, and my aunt, and so literally like it was not easy, like especially like being in friends, teachers, daycare, even my deaf school too, because I went to two schools actually. I went to a deaf school and a hearing school to kind of so I can have idea of what it is like to be part of two community. Um, so for me, I felt more comfortable in the deaf community because I have friends that was like me, and and I was like, oh my god, they can relate.
Yeah.
Versus the hearing people, I'm like, can't do that. Like I have to work with them to communicate. The communication was a lot hard while I was growing up in 2023. To this day, I have really bad communication too with a lot of people, and it's very difficult. Why? Because people are not educated about this at school, or even they don't even know anybody that has a disability, or anybody that does. They never came across that. So I was the first person out of everybody I meet. Remember, 90% of the time I meet people I meet are hearing people. I'm the only one that walks in the room. So I had to shine. Like I had to show different, and it was a lot of pressure too because I felt like if I don't do what I have to do, people are gonna walk all over me. And because I have been taken advantage of a lot of times just because I was deaf. And it was not easy. I had to literally step up a lot of time. And like my mom had to push me, my grandma had to push me, my aunt had to push me. My aunt was like literally like my aunt, like she would go and beat up anybody that was bullying me. Like she was that person, and she's like, "Who's bullying my niece? I'm gonna come after you." Like she was like one of those aunts. I was like, "Oh my god." So like if it wasn't for her, honestly, truly, I think I wouldn't see how like how you're supposed to stand up for yourself. So, I'm being bullied for I think the whole school. Since I was the age of 4 to I was 14, 15, I was bullied the whole time. Like my first bully was in grade one. In grade one, I got pushed down the hill because yeah, like it was really bad. I was bullied big time. Like it was really really bad. and I got bruises, and it was just really bad. So I mean, now that I'm getting older, it's getting better because now I feel like people are more open minded and more aware. So, and I guess because of me, coming up to people, especially on my Instagram, people are seeing it and they're like, oh my God. I even have friends from high school that what used to be bullying me are actually following me now. And so it's kind of cool because it's like now they're looking back like, oh my God, and then some of them apologize too. And I was like, it's okay. Like, it's a long time ago. We were a baby. We were kids. Like, you know what I mean? And, so yeah.
It's interesting how people that don't understand what you're doing or don't like what you're doing or what have you, it's funny how they come back around. I can relate to that. It's interesting. People, I wouldn't necessarily call bully, people that try to maybe like tear me down, create false narratives, they are all of a sudden like hitting me up and they're proud. And, oh, well, my bad. So it's really interesting how
Yeah,
that always works.
exactly.
Those tables
Exactly.
always turn no matter what. But
Exactly.
I wanted to go back to your story. So you said you went to two schools. So at what
Yeah.
age did you go to the deaf school, and at what age did you go to the school for hearing people?
So then for that school, I was there from I think it's JK or SK to grade two or grade three. So grade three. So SK to grade three. That's when I went to the deaf school. Just so I can I guess my family just wanted me to be around people like me so that I can build that self esteem and help me in terms of that way. And then the hearing school. I actually went to both because in the morning I went to the deaf school and then the afternoon I went to the hearing school
Oh,
just
okay.
because so that I can like balance out, right? So that way it's up and down, which I like it. And then I ended up stop going to the deaf school when I was in grade three because of the time commitment and like switching the translation. It was a little too much for my family and myself because I felt like I had to get up early and then I had to go to and the school was far from my house back then. So I had to take a school bus. So it was too much. And then
Yeah.
it was just too much. And then everybody was working too, right? So it's like
All right.
who's gonna take me to school in the afternoon? That was too much. So my mom said, you know what, no more of the tech school. We're just gonna take her to the hearing school and then we'll test it out and see how it is. It was good so far. It got better after grade one when I got bullied. And so it got a little bit better, but there was some up and down. But I mean, we got through it. But yeah,
Okay. I'm glad you gave me that clarification. So basically, it sounds like, wait, what is SK? Because I know you're in Canada. What is SK? Is that like pre-K? Like
yeah,
before
preschool.
kindergarten?
Yeah, preschool like kindergarten.
Oh, okay. Just asking
Yeah,
because we have a lot of things we do similar, in
yeah,
America and in Canada, but it's just a different name. So I just wanted to double check.
yeah.
Okay, so what was it like going to the hearing school? Because, and again, I think our ignorance will sometimes automatically assume that people that are hard of hearing or deaf are unintelligent, which is obviously not the case. So, were you put into classes with people that were hearing, or were you put into any type of education for people that may have had a need? Or I'm just curious to know, like, how did that work once you ended up going to the hearing school?
So okay, so you about the hearing school, right?
Hmm.
So the hearing school, I was not put into a special needs school or anything like that in the classroom or anything like that. I was not put in that. They wanted to actually. They
Hmm.
wanted to. I remember they had a meeting with my mom. My mom said, "No, my daughter's not stupid just because she's deaf." And so I know I think I don't remember what happened, but I think they put me in some room. I had no idea what room I was in, and it was like a bunch of kids, but it was nothing like me, and like it was like kids that had special needs and stuff like that. But the thing is, I was very ahead of them, so I'm just like, why am I in this room just because I'm deaf? So a
Right.
lot of times, teachers misunderstood the person academic wise, the level up there are in academic. And that's what the problem was. And they tried. I remember one time I came home and I told my mom and I said, I was in this room for what reason, right? Like they make it seem like I was stupid, but I was not stupid. And so my mom came back to the school and she basically like put them in their place and like, no, my daughter's gonna be in normal class. Put in a normal class. Like Jesus Christ, that's stupid. We're not stupid. And so from there on, moving forward, things changed completely. They're like, okay, you know what? We're gonna put Kalina in this room, and that's it. And then that's it. So I was doing pretty well in the normal classroom versus the special needs classroom. So so it was a lot of misunderstanding between the teachers and my mom and my academic level and where I was at. So yeah.
So, and it sounds like you had a very strong team of advocates with your mother, your grandmother, your auntie that's beating up folks for bullying, which I am totally a champion of. I like those kind of
Yeah.
things. I
Oh
do.
yeah. Oh
Because I
yeah.
don't like
For
bullies.
sure.
I hate bullying with a passion. So at what point, Kalina, did you decide that it's time for you to advocate for yourself? Like at what point were you like, you know what, I can handle my business or stand up on my own without my mother or my aunt or my grandmother getting involved?
I would say when I was in grade six, so that was what? How old I was in grade six? Like 14, 13? I think I was 12. I was 12. I was 12. Yeah. And I remember I was 12 years old. That's when I went to a middle school. And that's when I started being more advocate for myself and speaking to my mom about it. And then my mom would give me tips instead of her going to the school. So she's showing me what I'm supposed to be saying to the principal, the teachers, and stuff like that. So that way I know, like, okay, my mom said this, I have to go to the school. If it doesn't work out, then I go to my mom, and then she'll come the second time, right? So my family made like baby steps with me before I even come all on my own. So that's what they did. They did baby step with me first in grade six. They told me what to do. I went to the school. Didn't work out. Of course, it didn't work out. My family ended up having to come in, and I all came in. And then like I told you, and I told them, I told you guys, my family they're crazy. You don't want them to come in. And so my family, my family did not like my family. The type of family that they're very strong person and very strong people. So you can't like walk over them because they would never let you do that. They'll be like, "Are you dumb?" No. So that's the type of people my family are. But no. But that's when I started slowly from grade six to now.
Mhm.
And then like as I grow each grade, I started going on my own.
So your family will pull up. I like those kind of families. I got a family just like that. We pulls up, plane,
Yeah.
automobile, bicycle, walking. It will happen.
Anything.
It's needed. Okay. All right. So let me ask you. So what was it like now you're 23, so you're still young. So what is it like now as an adult in terms of making friends, dating? What is that like as a deaf and hard of hearing woman out here navigating adulthood?
Um, I think it's getting better. I mean, I still have to challenge on my own. The only thing is teaching other people how to communicate with me. I think that's the only thing. But so far it's pretty good. I know a lot of people don't notice because you can't tell, right? Like
Right.
like some people expect like if you are deaf, like they think you do sign language, right? For me, like
Right.
I'm learning how to do sign language, but I never grew up with sign language, so I don't know sign language off of my head. So that's that's when people see me and they're like, and they talk to me normal, right? But I'm like, oh, quiet in. They're like, hello, are you deaf? And then that's right there. I have to keep telling people consistently, like, I am deaf. I'm hard of hearing. Look. And they're like,
Right.
oh, and then and that's another thing I hate when people keep saying like, "Are you deaf? Are you deaf?" And that's a lot of common thing people say now, and it's kind of pissing me off. And I'm just keep telling people like, be open minded. There's people that actually are deaf, and you can't tell, like myself, like the way I speak, the way I hear. Like right now, you probably even tell because I'm listening everything consistently. I'm hearing everything pretty well. You won't know. So I keep telling people like, be mindful, be open. So for my friends, all my friends are very open. To be honest, they were really well than expected. Like they make sure I heard everything. They were not like they were not like I know some deaf people, some deaf people, they probably get this a lot, and it's something new for you as well. A lot of people be like, "Hello, hello, hello. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?" I don't get that from my friends at all. They know that I'm done. So they're very accommodating. They're very open with the communication. And relationship wise, um, my ex boyfriend, like we were dating. and he was pretty wild. He already knew that I was kind of deaf. I didn't know. He booked it. I guess he booked it because I had my hair up when he first met me. And he's like, oh, you wear hearing aids. I'm like, wait, what? You never hearing aids? And he's like, yeah, like my cousin had it. And then right there, he already knew what he was doing with me. So it's not like, it wasn't communication barriers or anything like that. He already knew that how to communicate with me right away on the spot. So I didn't have any problem with actual relationship, but that was not a problem. My friends are very open-minded. They're very careful what they're saying to me. They're very like gentle. They're very like, hey Ty, do what do we need to do to help? You know what I mean? They're very like helpful, and I love my friends so much.
Well, that is good. I'm glad to hear that. And what you said about people assuming, like the assumptions, especially with the sign language piece. First off, assuming that everyone can hear is an assumption I'm sure a lot of us, myself included, will have until we're shown otherwise. But then
Yeah,
the assumption about sign language is interesting because I know one of my mentors at the counseling center that I do work at, she gets offended when you assume that she speaks Spanish. So she's like, it's automatic assumption or assuming that she knows where all the tacos are because she's Mexican. So it's really interesting that these assumptions, no matter where it is, they always seem to pop up and be problematic no matter what. And then I also
exactly.
noticed language is very important. And even not even necessarily like sign language in terms of you, because it sounds like you've done well without learning, but you're learning now, which is great. But what I more so mean is that the I'm sorry piece, like before we got on the mic, you were talking about how, I'm sorry is not necessarily the best term to use when it comes to talking to people that may be deaf or hard of hearing, and then we find out and we didn't know. So do you mind talking about like what's a good way to substitute the I'm sorry in terms of just being more empathetic and understanding of our hard of hearing and deaf family?
For sure, for sure. This is I get this all the time. People always consistently come to me like, "Hey, Kalina, like, what did I do wrong? Like, can I like?" So I always keep explaining to people it's because we hard of hearing and or someone that's deaf, we're so used to people telling us, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry," while we grow up. It's like it's just annoying. For me, it's annoying. I hate when I hear that because basically what you're telling, like for example, myself. But if you're telling me I'm sorry, it means you're telling me like, oh, I'm sorry that you're deaf. That's what it means to us who are deaf or someone that's hard of hearing. That's what you're telling us, saying I'm sorry that you're deaf. Don't say that. So in other words, we phrase it, oh, I'm unaware that you couldn't hear. I apologize. And then that way they can see like, oh, they're unaware, right? So don't say I'm sorry right away because then it's like, I never. You're not God. Are you God? Did you make me? No. So so it's very 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 important how a lot of people approach people. For me, I would think I'm unaware. What can I do to communicate with you better? That's amazing part ways to say it. I'm unaware. What can I do to communicate with you better? And
Mhm.
leave it at that. And that's the most important thing. That's what a lot of people don't get. I am sorry part. I get that all the time. People be like, can you help me here? So that's
I'm sorry is a phrase that I'm learning is becoming more and more problematic when it comes to describing or explaining something we don't understand. Like even in times of like, if let's say if we lose somebody or if someone dies close to us, oh, I'm so sorry, I could never imagine. And it can come off condescending. It's a little, and it's like, and I know people say
exactly.
that as a they don't know what to say, so that's the only thing they can think of. But I think that I would rather somebody not say nothing at all, or just say, "Look, I have no idea what exactly to say to comfort you, but just know I'm
Exactly.
here." So what you saying, I'm aware or I'm unaware. I think that's really dope. I mean, that's something great that I think everybody should adopt. Like, look, my apologies, I was unaware. Just so it's like I'm not throwing pity on you or no kind of weird energy on you. Like, look, I didn't know, my fault. How can I be in good communication with you? Like, like let me know. So I respect the fact that you're open about being like, look, like we can communicate, just come correct. Don't come with me at like no pity. Don't come with me with that pity.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. 100%. Like that's what it is. Like a lot of people come towards us, the deaf community or anybody that has a disability, come with petty comments, and I'm like, dude, like, calm down. Like, you know what I mean? If you don't know what to say, just be like, be like this, so that way we can be like, it's okay. Like, you know what I mean? So that way you can be like, okay, you're not coming across rude or coming across disrespect. That's pretty much it.
Okay, I'm glad you gave that clarification. Before I get into your platform though, because I do want to talk about that, what other advice would you give to people that are able to hear in terms of how to better communicate with our hard of hearing or deaf family? Because I know we're in an age now where you ain't got no choice but to understand people at this point, whether you want to or not. Me, I always love understanding, so I don't mind. I'm down. Educate me, I'm down. But everybody else, though, what would you tell them in terms of look like? There's other influencers I'm seeing online that are deaf or hard of hearing that's getting it popping and they're educating. So, what would Deaf Queen Boss tell us about how to better be inclusive to those that are deaf and hard of hearing, or even with those that have disabilities?
Yeah, exactly. My tip is um one, use your caption consistently because not everybody on Instagram, especially Instagram, no one just is using caption, and it's like hello, like there's other people out there, and as well too, do not be lazy. I noticed that a lot of people are super lazy putting caption on their IGTV or even on video, the videos on their story. And the third thing is be very, very mindful what words you are using, right? So whatever word you are using is very important. And I know I have came across it myself too when I hear or see people doing podcasting and stuff. They use words that's not like really necessary. Um, and fourth, fourth, if you're gonna be using podcasts, I'm not telling everybody to do it, but I highly recommend you do video podcasting because a person like me who is a lip reader, so I read a lot of reading lips. So there's no caption. I look at the person's face and see what they're talking and what they're saying. So but the other one is talk really slow. Don't talk don't talk too fast, right? And I noticed that a lot of times people are on IG and have their story. They talk so fast, and I'm just like, what are you talking about? Like, and sometimes I don't even get certain words because certain words comes out when we hear things, right? And not everything fully connected to our ears. So it's like the certain words that we miss. So that's why I always recommend people, talk slow, use caption, keep your communication open and talk really slow, talk general, talk gentle. Don't just talk aggressively. Um, what else can I say? And yeah, just be mindful what you put up. And yeah.
I'm glad you said that because something that I've always had to work on is talking slower. So the more I'm learning more about my audience, I'm realizing that my audience is not just, and this is over almost 5 years. I've been doing this for about 5 years now. But I'm realizing, like, wow, I have to do a super much better job of being more inclusive, like, and more accessible.
Yeah.
Like this. So for me, I'm physically like because my personality is I talk fast and I'm da 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 da. I'm
Yeah.
but as I get older and as I get older with spiritual homegirl, I'm like, I'm gonna have to slow it down, period, at some point. Not all the way down because at some point I have to be somewhat authentic. But in terms of instead of going 100 miles a minute, maybe I can go 50. You know what I mean? Like maybe I can
Exactly.
cut it down to half.
Yeah.
But I try to use captions on my IGTV. They're auto generated. So I'm like, I'm hoping it's right because sometimes the captions they're not always spot on. So
Exactly.
also I realized with my reels make it easy because sometimes I don't have to talk. I can just put the words on and I can just make my own captions. Or if with podcasting, I'm learning now because I'm working on my YouTube because I have 100, you're 100 and let me think. By the time this airs, you'll be 100, I think 150. I want to make sure this drops on a Monday. So let me see what episode I'm on right now.
Okay.
I got to think about. I done did so many podcasts, Kalina. Like I have
Yeah.
over. Let me think. This is 152. Hmm. You want to drop on a Sunday or a Monday?
Sunday?
You want to drop on a Sunday?
Sure.
Cool. So that means you'll be episode 152. So I have to go back from episode 1 to
That
152 and put everything on YouTube and put the captions on. Provided YouTube be they be screening stuff too. So certain words if they got certain words I can't put it on there. But I now have to go backwards, which I don't mind because I'm like if that means that I can give spiritual homegirl to people that want to experience what I do here and want to be inspired. I want people to feel like my platform is welcoming them. I don't want nobody to say, "Oh, I like her," but she don't understand. Like I may like her, but I may be hard of hearing or I may be deaf. So since she doesn't understand that I might be in her audience, I'll just leave her alone. Because some people don't like that. Like and that's understandable. If you feel like people don't recognize you in your identity, they're not gonna fool with you even if it just of sheer ignorance. Like I would never mess with somebody as a black woman. I would never support a non-black creator that did not acknowledge or at least respect my existence. So yeah, you need to probably speak up about social injustice because if you don't, I'm not gonna fool with you. You know what I mean?
exactly.
So
Yeah,
that's what I mean
exactly.
in terms of like those that are deaf and hard of hearing. It's almost like, look, if you're not even doing the bare minimum, why should I support what you do? You don't even acknowledge the
Exactly.
bare minimum.
Exactly.
So I understand that. I do. So I'm glad that you've educated myself as well as everybody else because there are a lot of people out here that are deaf or hard of hearing because like you said, you cannot tell simply by looking at folks.
No, you can't tell. You can't tell. The only way you can tell it's literally when they flip their hair, or like if it's a guy, you can see it. But
Yeah.
especially girls, a lot of time too, and that's another thing too. A lot of time, like hard of hearing girls, they hide their hearing aid or the cochlear implant because their self esteem is not there yet. So it's gonna take them time to get there. Get there. It took me like years to get up where I am. Like years. Like I couldn't like I couldn't even. I don't know how I got there. I don't know. It just happened, baby step again, and no, and a lot of time, um, girls that wear cochlear implants with hearing aids, they hide their hearing aids a lot, and they're just not there. And why? It's because they don't want people to be asking them questions, and they're tired. You know what I mean? They don't want people to say that word. I'm sorry. They don't want it that. They don't want to hear. They ought to hear someone that wants to learn about it. Like, oh my God, that's so cool. What do you have in your ears? They rather hear that instead of saying, I'm so sorry. Right? So for me, like, I'm so used to it because I grew up with 99% of people around me that is hearing people. I have to educate everybody every single step I go in my life, honestly. And so, yeah, so that's definitely my advice to people. Like, you never know. You just never know. Even if they do not do sign language, like myself, I don't do sign language. You just never know. And you just gotta be careful on how you bring up your content, especially Instagram. Be mindful. Especially like for example TikTok. I noticed that TikTok now all of a sudden caption everything, and I'm like, what? I'm like, good job TikTok, good job, because it's like what? And now little do people know a lot of deaf community are actually on TikTok app more than Instagram. Why? Because there's more caption on TikTok than Instagram. Like for myself, I watch more TikTok than Instagram. Why? Because there's more caption than Instagram.
I mean, Instagram ain't nothing but TikTok light at this point. I mean, all the TikToks end up on Instagram anyway. So it's almost like they're gonna have to do something a little bit better at this point because TikTok, everybody's already up over there, number one. And then you go viral twice because your TikTok shows up on Instagram or Twitter. So TikTok has really changed the game because now that I think about it, you're right, all of the captions and stuff is on TikTok. And I was like,
Exactly.
yo, like I like to actually experience this content even as a hearing person. I appreciate the fact that there's captions and there's something that I can hear too because I actually like to read the captions. I'm one of those. Like I don't mind reading closed captions. I like to watch it with both. So
Exactly.
that's cool. I think that's really cool that you brought that up. But tell me about Deaf Queen Boss, like your platform. Like when did you decide? Because obviously it sounds like you're very centered and rooted, and you being this just super fly, beautiful, hard of hearing, deaf woman. Like you're like, look, I'm fly. Period. It don't matter hearing aid, no hearing aid. I'm out here with mine.
Thank
So it's like, so
you.
where did you decide to say, you know what, I'm gonna use my experience and my self-esteem to uplift others? Like, where did you get to that point?
to to uplift other people.
Yeah, so where you decide, you know what, I'm gonna make a whole platform based on this to help other people.
Honestly, truly, I started something on Instagram and my personal page. I thought something on Instagram, and there was a person, and she was deaf, and she was talking about how like Instagram needs to do better with the caption, and like there's not that much hard of hearing influencers in Canada. There's a lot more from the UK and the States. So I was just like, wait, hold on. This person may have a point. There's no hard of hearing influencer or someone that's from Canada that actually wants to educate other people about it. And it's actually true because I did my research and looked everywhere, but only strictly UK and the States. But I haven't seen no one from Canada that is like me. And it's like, whoa. So I guess that she gave me that attention to let me create my own page. And I think, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it and see what happens. But I'm not expecting too much. I didn't have any high expectation about it. But I just went through it, did it, and I had so many people. I had like what, 2.9K people saw my first video on my first IGTV, and I first posted it. I was like, whoa! I didn't think it would go that far. And so another the second reason why I wanted to do it is because little do people know there are it's very rare to see a deaf or hard of hearing actor in Hollywood. There are no show on hard of hearing community show. There's only that one show which is called Switch at Birth. That's the only one show on Netflix that talks about the deaf community and the hearing community together, translate together. And I was just like, okay, we need to make a change. So when I spoke to a lot of people that were hard of hearing or deaf influencers, they all like I messaged them and I said, hey, like I'm new to this. It's like it's crazy how nothing's happening, and they're like, yeah, it's like there's no one. And then they all told me you're the first person from Canada that actually reached out to us, and then they're like it's very impressive because there's no one, and literally there's no one from Canada. And I was just like, you know what? Let me just be the first person, and then I did it.
Given that you have such good energy about what you're doing, and it sounds like, based on what I perceive, it's a very pure intent. And I think that with you being so fearless and being the first, I do see a lot of like brand partnerships, sponsorships, things of that nature in your future. I just think it makes sense with whatever you decide to choose to do. But ultimately, well, I know you said you have an online coaching business. So with your online coaching business, is it more so for people or women? Is it men? Is it people that are able to hear, people that are not able to hear, or the hard of hearing or deaf? Like, what do you want to do with your online coaching business?
Online business, I want it to be open for anybody in general. I just don't want to be just one specific person.
Mhm.
Because again, I grew up with 90% of people that were hearing, so I'm so used to hearing people. So, and I still have the love and heart for the hearing people, obviously,
Right.
because I grew up with them. I always love you guys, always, and also too, I always have the deaf community. So I think, I just do both, right?
Right.
So
Well, that is good. You said you graduated with a psychology degree. What school you went to, Kalina?
I went to York University.
Okay, represent your school. You know, just have to, shout out, little whoop whoop, just in case. All right. So before we get out of here, though, is there anything else that you want us to know about Kalina or Deaf Queen Boss or anything that you have going on?
I am actually finishing up a book that it basically gives the hearing people a perspective of what it's like to be a deaf person inside the book. So it'll be really amazing for a lot of hearing people and even teachers or even parents that had child that is deaf or hard of hearing, just to give them like a mindset, like what it is like, And so that was something that I have going on. And also too, my reminder for a lot of people is that there are websites that can help you create your caption. I know some people are asking me what are the apps. There are a lot of websites. You guys can click on my DM, ask me all you want. What's on the website? There are 4 websites, I believe, but I know there are different ones. There even luckily I found an app that actually do it for IGTV. So I just found one. So yeah, so there's a lot of websites that does the caption for you, and you can just put it up, and then it's done, and you just edit it, and then that's it. It took me like about an hour, and that's it.
Please forward me all of those links because I'm going to need that. I
Yes,
have
no problem.
100, and it's not even 152. It's really more than that because there were some episodes that were a little short that I didn't really count as episodes, even though technically I posted them, so they do count. So I have about maybe 170-ish pieces of content that I have to put captions on. Better late than never, okay? My apologies for not coming on this sooner, but I know better now, so I have to do better. Okay. So how can people get in touch with you?
A lot of people got in touch with me from Clubhouse. It's just amazing. I wish they like 200 people.
Oh wow. So what's your Clubhouse name?
Pardon?
What's your Clubhouse name?
Deaf Queen Boss.
Okay, I know it. I'm just asking, so those that may want to link with you on Clubhouse and hear you in rooms, how people want to get in touch with you. So what is your Instagram? Again, I know it, obviously, but like for those that want to get in touch with you on Instagram, what is your screen name?
My Instagram, my YouTube, and my Clubhouse is all the same. It's the Queen Boss, so that way it's easy for people to find me if they trying to look for information. I'm all ears. My DMs are always open. I may take a few days late to reply just because I have so many people that contacting me and they're asking me questions, how they can help them. I have a lot of, right now I'm kind of recently working with a lot of parents actually that have a lot of, so it's pretty cool. I'm working with a lot of other people, especially parents, and now I'm got books for other podcasts as well, just to help them how to be mindful and how to be resourceful for the deaf community. And so yeah.
I gotta brag, okay? Because technically I'm the first American interview that you've had. Period.
Yeah.
So we out here with the exclusives, okay? So when you get on these super duper, like when you get your own stuff and you end up having your own show and your own, like just whatever setup you want, I can say, you know what? She was over here first in America, period. Period. I'll be bragging over here. I see a lot of great stuff in your future, Kalina, and I think that this is such a great mission that you're on, and I think this is awesome. And I've learned so much just in this short amount of time talking to you. It's like, wow. So when you get your book finished and ready to go, definitely I would like for you to come back and talk about that book so that we can, at least I can do whatever I can on my part to bring awareness. Like I totally love the mission. So whenever you finish your book, just please let me know. We'll do this again and we can run it from there.
Perfect. My book should be finished around May. So
okay.
I'm trying to get it done by my birthday, which is May 29th. So I'm trying to get that done by my birthday so that everybody can pitch it in on my birthday. So
all right, Gemini, y'all heard her. Gemini coming out with her book. She's a Gemini, y'all. So So all right then. So it's been an honor, Kalina. Thank you so much for coming on the Spiritual Homegirl podcast, and I look forward to seeing all of the success that you're going to embark. I just know it. You're on your way. You are definitely on your way.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
No problem. No problem, boo.